All right. I'm a little early, but I'll wait. It's 5 more minutes before the temple opens, but the doors are already open. So I'll wait. Well, hello, Anthony. Welcome to the temple. I hope you're feeling well today. Yes, hello, hello. It's for you, Anthony. Sound a bell when you come in. All right. So we'll just wait until, we've got 3 minutes or so before we officially begin. Can you hear me, Anthony? Yes, I am feeling well. Anthony, can you hear me? Could you tell me if you can hear me out there? Ah, thank you. Thank you. All right. So we'll wait. We'll wait. Where are you from again, Anthony? Can you let me know? Just curious. Chicago. I have a good friend who lives in Chicago and have been invited many times to go, but I have not yet had the pleasure of seeing that fabulous town of yours, right in the city, huh? That's beautiful. I've lived in large cities myself and enjoyed those experiences. The idea of it being enough to have a potted plant as a reminder of nature is how it was when I was living in Manhattan. I just needed a hint of nature. No, not in the winter. I've lived in Detroit and in Toronto, and I think Toronto's even worse weather than Chicago. When it's, we have about a minute, Anthony, and if it's just you and I, it would be just you and I, which would be nice. Chicago is on Central Time, I believe. I think so. Maybe not. What time is it in Chicago? So we're almost. Yes. Yes, when I was a child growing up in Toronto, it would sometimes snow in June and in September. So it's 2:00, yes. Oh, really? It's 4 here in Florida. So good. The purpose of this hangout is to bring the kind of spiritual teachings that we all need to uplift us from those modern moods of apathy. Sometimes even just deep disappointment in the culture, the ethics of the culture that we're in the model of the universe that we were given as children is one in which it's geared to make us feel our insignificance. It's 3:00. Our irrelevance in the universe. The entire model of the universe that we were given, according to the Big Bang, that was supposedly, allegedly, the start of it all, to ourselves as human beings here in this earth that is supposedly, allegedly, spinning aimlessly in an infinite space and time. Science, as I said, has become sort of like our God, our religion. The faiths that we have, Christianity, Islam, Judaism, can help a great deal to give us a sense of union with God. But it's even more imperative that this sense of belonging to the universe be felt at a deep, deep level by us in order to counteract the depression and the sense of useless, aimless existence that is often the result of cultural upbringing. This is why this work particularly is so, I'd say, very important. When you go into your temple, like this one, and you want to read something that will lift you up and make you feel the joy and the ecstasy of living and being a part of life, then you choose the literature that you expose yourself in your temple. And you choose the kind of literature that brings wings to your soul. And this is what this literature is. So I'm going to begin with the 5th chapter of the Hermetica, the lost wisdom of the Pharaohs, by Timothy Freck and Peter Gandy. The 5th chapter has to do specifically with what the cosmos is. The living cosmos, it's called. The chapter is called The Living Cosmos. In this chapter, Hermes succinctly outlines the essence of his philosophical ideas and paints the picture of a cosmos as a living being, teeming with life. In the beginning, there is unity. Unity separates into two fundamental forces, which, like the negative and positive poles of a battery, generate everything. Hermes describes them as light and life, which become mind and soul. We experience them as thoughts, and feelings. The oneness of God is both light and life. These two forces are the parents of the mind of the cosmos. The oneness of God is both light and life. These two forces are the parents of the mind of the cosmos. This was experienced by Hermes in his original mystical vision as the Word, which calmed the dark waters, the fundamental laws of nature which bring order to the chaos. The physical cosmos is a perfect reflection of this ordering principle, the mind of the cosmos. The mind of the cosmos, parentheses, the Word, is in turn the reflection of God. Just as a spoken word reflects the intention of its speaker. Since God is all goodness, the cosmos is therefore also good. Because the cosmos is made in the image of its creator, it too is an immortal, living being. It is therefore impossible that any part of it can be dead. At its conception, it was filled with energy, which, as modern science has now proved, can neither be created nor destroyed. Unlike the myriad forms that it passes through, energy itself is immortal. God is the source of this energy, which, through the laws of nature, creates life. The cosmic mind receives energy from God and gives it to all the things within the cosmos. Through this process, the cosmos is completely saturated with soul, the life force. Everything in it is alive. Nothing is dead, not even so-called inanimate things. The cosmos is a great living being, which in turn gives life to all the lesser beings it contains. It is the whole which nourishes its parts, like a parent caring for its children. So that's the introduction to the living cosmos. And hello, Inez and Tina. Welcome to the temple. We're talking about the nature of the cosmos, how its identity is God's identity, how the identity of the cosmos is our identity. There's no separation between us, the created, and the creator. This is the kind of literature that will save you from sadness, from a sense of disappointment in life that we carry around almost unconsciously, you see. Hello, hello, hello. I'm glad you're all here at the temple. So we're going to start with the sacred writings of Hermes. They call him the thrice great, three times great, because he was able to penetrate into the deepest parts of universal knowledge and reveal it in a way that is told like a beautiful tale, as the Bible is beautiful, as the Quran is beautiful, as the Bhagavad Gita is beautiful. It's poetic, and only poetry can actually deliver this kind of deep message to us. And we need this, like we need medicine, like we need nourishment every day. The living cosmos, the primal mind, which is life and light, being bisexual, gave birth to the mind of the cosmos. The primal mind is ever unmoving, eternal, changeless, containing within it this cosmic mind, which is imperceptible to the senses. The cosmos, which sense perceives, is a copy, an image of this eternal cosmic mind, like a reflection in a mirror. In the Hindu religion, in Buddhism, it's Maya, illusion. But you see, it's not the kind of illusion that's a mirage that reflects nothing of any significance. It's an illusion that's a direct reflection of the mind of God. That's our reality, our cosmic reality, being a reflection of the mind of God. So, so beautiful. Good. I'm glad, Tina. Yes, this is psychology begins with self-understanding. And a psychologist who doesn't understand themselves is not worthy of trying to heal anyone else. It all starts with oneself. And from that understanding and from that deep healing, you can heal others. That's why I believe these are the kinds of ideas that help us to grow spiritually, to help us to grow psychologically as well. It should be implemented in every academic course. Let me continue. First of all, and without beginning, is a tomb. If you weren't here before, a tomb is the ancient Egyptian term for God. And our authors here use it so that we aren't made to experience this word God as we always have, but to sort of open us up to a whole new way of thinking about what God may be. So we call God a tomb. First of all, and without beginning, is a tomb. Second is the cosmos, made in his likeness. As the cosmos is a second God, it is also an immortal being. We don't get that information, do we, in our schooling? Even in Orthodox religious teachings, they don't tell us this particular story. As the cosmos is a second God, it is also an immortal being. And because everything is in the cosmos, is a part of the cosmos, it is impossible that any part of it should die. The cosmos is all life. From its first foundations, there has never existed a single thing which was not alive. There is not, and has never been, and will never be anything in the cosmos that is dead. If you don't find that to be good news, I don't know where you are emotionally, because that's such an emotionally uplifting idea, expressed by, limitedly expressed in science as energy can neither be produced nor extinguished nor destroyed. Everything remains alive. There was never anything that was dead. I don't know about you out there. Yes, absolutely self-aware. I don't know about you out there, but I, as a child, I remember this almost brings it right back to me. When I was, I don't know, 3, 4, 5, something in there, I was first introduced to the idea of death. I think someone died in my family, a relative died in my family, and it was brought to my attention as a child that this had happened. I simply couldn't get my mind around it. I simply couldn't understand what in the world everyone was talking about. I understood that I would perhaps never see the person physically, but the idea that someone had died, gone, evaporated, as was portrayed to me, seemed as a child ridiculous. I knew as a young child how ridiculous this idea was, and that all the adults around me seemed to be so saddened by the event, so saddened by this person's disappearance. And I just really couldn't even fathom the idea of a ceasing of life. Because as a child, you know you've just come from your source, from the spirit, from your soul, and you know in your core of your heart that everything lives eternally, including you. Supreme divine energy from within to identify expressing own self without attachment, correlatedly connected in dancing beautiful peace. Yes. Atum is light. Here we agree with many religious portrayals of God as light. Atum is light, the everlasting source of energy, the eternal dispenser of life itself. Once energy has been dispensed, its supply is governed by eternal cosmic laws. The cosmos has its being within the eternal energy from which all life issues. So it's impossible for it ever to stop or to be destroyed. It is contained and bound together by the eternal life force. The cosmos dispenses this life to all the things within it. The cosmos dispenses this life to all the things within it, without exception. From the smallest gnat, from the tiniest atom, to the expansive world we live in. Everything partakes of life. It has a twofold movement. Energy is infused into the cosmos from eternity, and it in turn infuses life into all things within it through its laws, its order. Mind and soul are manifestations of light and life. Everything moves by the power of the soul. I just have to read that over again because it just almost wants to make you cry. It's so beautiful because it's so true. Everything moves by the power of soul. The body of the cosmos, within which all bodies are contained, is completely saturated with soul. Soul is entirely illuminated by mind. Mind is totally permeated by Atum. Soul fills and encompasses the whole body of the cosmos. It gives life to the great and perfect living creature, which is the cosmos, which in turn gives life to all the lesser living creatures it contains. The cosmos is the whole, which generates and nourishes the parts, like a parent caring for its children, like a parent caring for its children. It receives its supply of goodness from a tomb. And it is this goodness, which is the true power of creation. So the true power of creation is what? Is goodness, is love. The cosmos is the image of a tomb. And since a tomb is all goodness, the cosmos is also good. That's chapter 5. Oh my goodness. Well, let me say hello. We'll pause and let that penetrate. I want to read your comments. Just give me a moment. What book am I reading? I'm reading the Hermetica, the lost wisdom of the Pharaohs, the lost wisdom of our ancient ancestors from Egypt. That's what I'm reading. You missed the beginning. That's all right. If we could let the ideas just penetrate a little bit. Over and over, what is being emphasized here is that everything is God, that there may be an order to the power structure of creation, but that this order is simply the mind of God that orders the chaos, the living force, the life force that's eternal. If we could just simply pull this idea into us and make it a part of our being, convince ourselves on a very deep level of our eternal energy, our immortal energy. There's nothing, no amount of disappointment, sadness, or problems in life can penetrate that. That shields you from all that is culturally intended to bring you down, to make you feel less than, to rob you of your heritage, of your inborn godliness. You see, your immortality. We aren't convinced, even if we're religious. I remember my mother was very religious. I mean, my mother and father went to church a great deal. She died when she was 83. And her impending death was quite obvious to her because she became so ill. So it was looming in front of her. So she had to face it. And those many times, apparently, when she had gone to church, the church had failed to convince her on a deep level of her immortality. I asked her point blank what she thought would happen after she died. And what she said was, they'll put me in the grave and that's it. It's over. I'm done. There's no more. And that's with, 45 to 50 years of constant attending church, hearing sermons, and even being somewhat righteous about her faith. She, in her heart of hearts, didn't have that kind of certainty, you see. And that's the kind of certainty that this literature, and sometimes we have to come in through literature. You can watch the blooming of a rose and understand the same philosophical truth. There are people, of course, who are illiterate, who do understand this same philosophical truth through the witnessing of a blooming of a rose. But we tend to be a little intellectual. We're trained in the West to be analytical. And I think it was Stephen Steiner I mentioned last time, who was not opposed to the intellect being a friend of spirituality. And so let me look. Hello. Who have we here? There's Tina here. All right. Ahmad Hassan. Yes. Yes. Georgina. Hello. I remember you. I remember you. Welcome to the temple. So let me continue with the 6th chapter. Goodness, let me put it in. And of course, what we're doing is we're progressing through, this is like Genesis in the Bible, only less mythological, with more direct insight. I think extremely compatible with the modern mind, interestingly enough. In this chapter, Hermes, did I introduce the chapter? It's called The Circle of Time. The Circle of Time. How interesting. Time, of course, is a tarot card reader. I'm fascinated by the nature of time. In this chapter, Hermes explores the nature of time and change. So this introduction is again by Timothy Freck and Peter Gandy. And so before Hermes actually speaks, it's a summation. Everything in the cosmos is constantly changing. Things are born, pass away, and come into existence again. Like old plants dying each winter to return as new shoots each spring. All these changes, however, are governed by unchanging natural laws. In this way, therefore, it could also be said that the cosmos is essentially changeless. Do you understand that? This is so interesting. Because the laws of nature are cyclical, they repeat eternally, it points to the eternal immortality of the cosmos expressed in its laws, in the natural laws. Time regulates the natural processes of change in the cosmos. It is measured by the recurring cycles of the stars and the sun, which revolve in fixed and permanent orbits. Remember, the cosmological model here of the universe is ancient, previous to the heliocentric model. We have the geocentric model of the universe, in which we, the earth, life, humanity, is at the core and center of all that is, with the heavens above us spinning around us like a clock, telling us the cyclical changes occurring within this living realm. Unlike our modern picture of time as a straight line from the past to the future, Hermes sees time as a circle, as did the ancient Indians of India, as many shamanistic tribes see it, as so many ancient cultures saw time as a circle. We too actually measure time in circles, however. A day is the circle of time, which begins again when the sun rises each morning. The year is a circle of time, measured by the Earth's, and here we impose a little heliocentric model by probably Mr. Freck, around the sun. Vaster circles of time are expressed by the movements of the constellations of the stars. Remember, when you look up, the central pole of Polaris remains stationary as all the stars in the cosmos wind their way around it in a circle, 24 hours to complete. All these cycles eventually bring things back to where they started. It is impossible to say where that is, however, for a circle has no starting point. You cannot say where it begins and where it ends. Hermes ultimately points to a deeper understanding of time. The past has gone and does not exist. The future has yet to happen and does not exist. The present moment passes so quickly that it has no permanence. Before we have even said now, the moment is gone. We can never catch the present. So, in what way can it be said to exist. This mystical insight into the illusory nature of time is a way to glimpse the oneness of God, who exists beyond time. Freeing ourselves from the illusion of time is yet another way we can experience God. No truer words were ever said as a practically lifelong tarot card reader, reading, looking into the future and into the past to bring to the elusive moment the reality of those two realms, those illusory realms, because you see, everything exists within the spacious moment, which is impermanent. It's such an extraordinary place that we live, this place we find ourselves in has so many qualities that are mysterious, deep, and contain so much that will bring us into a state of higher. It's almost like an ecstasy, really, when you realize these things on a deeper level. You can't but be excited about everything that happens within the world you find yourself in. Every event, everything around you, the mystery returns. You see, you're no longer take anything for granted. You're not bored. The boredom being part of what happens to someone when they've lost touch with the real, with what's real about life. You see, the boredom. This is why I so advocate this kind of reading. Yes. Life challenges because you're eternal. Who asks? Hamed, how can you find that love inside you with all the life challenges? Again, because you realize on a deep level that everything is cyclical, first of all, that you are repeating, that everything you end up where you began. Every single challenge then that you encounter is simply that which allows you to remember yourself, to know yourself better as that eternal God, as that eternal being, as that part of what is infinite, so that any challenge becomes very manageable. When you are so large, the problem becomes very small. That's how you do it. You grow yourself, and the problems, the challenges diminish in front of you. They're nothing. You are the one who's created, who's through your vision, through your senses, the panoply before you of life is created by you. You're not an accidental outcome of it. You're purposefully made. You're eternal. That's the news. That's the good news that will always help to uplift you beyond whatever those challenges may be. You see. So we begin. The Circle of Time by Hermes. In case you're late coming in. In a sense, the cosmos is changeless because its motions are determined by unalterable, unalterable. There's a hard one. Laws, which cause it to revolve eternally without beginning and end. Its parts manifest, disappear, and are created anew again and again in the undulating pulse of time. As scientifically, there is the concept of a universe that is constantly creating itself, that did not come from a big bang and will not ultimately destroy itself, but at every point is constantly being fed, supplied with eternal energy. It will never die. That's a scientific I'd say concept that comes pretty close. It's getting closer, at least. Through the process of time, life within the cosmos is regulated and maintained. Time renews all things in the cosmos by the circulating process of change, measured by the heavenly bodies returning to their former positions as they revolve around the heavens. The pyramids, for instance, were built in alignment with the constellation of Orion, the Orion's belt within that star system. And it's been posited, conjectured, that the pyramids may be anywhere from 20,000, 10,000, 5,000. They're guessing, by the way, years old. And the stars above us have not changed. They remain exactly where they were. They go through patterns, but those patterns repeat cyclically. This is the insight of our ancestors who watched the heavens like we watch television every night. To them, the cosmos was their primary form of wonder and entertainment. And they made many observations, which we even now use to navigate, to tell when the tides are, when eclipses will occur. This all comes from ancient knowledge of the observation of the universe. The present issues from the past, and the future from the present. Everything is made one by this continuity. Time is like a circle where all the points are so linked that you cannot say where it begins or where it ends. For all points both precede and follow one another forever. Yet, there is an even deeper understanding. The past has departed and no longer is. The future has not arrived and is yet to be. Even the present does not last. So how can it be said to exist when it doesn't stay still for a moment? You see, this sort of puts into question the idea that anything really exists, that perhaps in truth, this illusion of time is purely a manifestation of thought and mind, and has this impermanence to it. We don't have any way of retaining the past except through memory, and to see into the future except through inner vision. Those areas are then seem at least to be less real than the present. But the present itself lasts for how long? Can you even capture a moment? Can you capture it and hold it before it evaporates and is gone and moves into the past? You see, what do you think about the nature of time? Hi, hello. Whistle, hello. Hello, the mind of Mandy. Hello. I'm glad you're here, though you came a little late. But we're talking about the nature of time, which is a fascinating, fascinating subject. And if you'd like to share some of maybe your experiences with the nature of time, as a tarot card reader, I'm always looking into the future, you see. And have even some ideas about the nature of the past that are even a little less orthodox than others. So if you want to share some of your experiences, let me start it out. Maybe you don't know what I mean. When I was 30 years, I'm 67. So when I was 30, I remember going to I was living in Miami, and I went to a very fancy party in Coconut Grove, where I was living. And I heard that a relatively famous psychic was giving readings to people, and I was asked if I would like one. And this was when I was 30, so I'd really just embarked upon all my deep metaphysical learning at the time. And so I said, well, why not? So where was she giving her remarkable readings? She was giving these readings in a bathroom, a very nice looking bathroom, by the way, very well decorated, but nonetheless, I thought it was extremely appropriate because she was like an angel in the bathroom. And she chose that because she wanted total privacy and quiet. There was a loud party. And so I went upstairs and I saw maybe 10 people queued up in front of the bathroom. And I said, well, she must be good. So I queued up myself, and then it was my turn. I went in, and there she was. Oh, I'd say she was just a little bit older than I am right now. And she was very well dressed, as all Venezuelans are. They love to dress well, beautifully. She's a beautiful older woman, and she was sitting on a closed commode and with a chair right in front, and asked me if I'd sit down. I said, sure. And she took my hand, but she didn't look at my palm. She simply took my hand, squeezed it, and proceeded to tell me absolutely every major event that has occurred between the age of 30, when I received that reading, and today. And I even know, of course, more to come. But every single thing that that angel told me has come to pass. Even those things, as we had talked about before, that were, shall we say, challenging or negative, even being warned about those things did not prevent them from happening. This is the paradox of time, the paradox of our soul as well, that time already the future already existed, or she couldn't possibly have seen it. Yet every event, before every event, I had my free will. I chose the things I chose. And those inevitably led to what was destined in my life story. So you see, that was a deep experience for me at 30. I ran home after that, knowing in my heart of hearts that this was a very important reading that I got, and I jotted it all down so I wouldn't forget a thing while it was still fresh in my memory. So that's my story. Let me. Yes. So Tina says, I often wonder where my bloodline started. It's absolutely impossible to trace it back so far. Even the family tree archives go back a very short time. It'd be fascinating to know the truth. Yes, it would. Yes, it would, because we are dropped into a genetic line that becomes a part of our destiny too. The body that we receive comes through a genetic line. And I don't know if you know what epigenetics is. It's a new concept of how genetics works, in that the experiences that one has in life actually change your genetic code, influence your genetic code. It's a sort of a on-off system, very much like ones and zeros in the computer world, in that you can be born with a genetic predisposition, but your experiences and even the experiences of your ancestors have either turned that genetic information, that data, that imperative on or off. And your body is a part of your destiny. Say you're born with certain genetic weaknesses, well, perhaps that would make it impossible for you to become a star athlete, though you may have a desire to become one. Your body isn't participating in that destiny. The body is integral to your destiny. Your ancestors contribute to you. You know, the American Indians were worshipped their genetic ancestors. But we not only have genetic ancestors, we have spiritual ancestors. We have our own reincarnational ancestors. You are the end of your own lineage. You are the product of your own reincarnational history, which is as much a part of your spiritual code as your genetic code. And those two parts of you are equally important in knowing who you are. I've been born into a family with a very long lineage in the area of Hungary and Austria, going back, according to my father, 1,000 years. So, yes, there's even this sense, I think, too, as another layer of this, that the ground, the very soil that you were born onto, imprints you, has a energetic imprint on you. Again, giving definition to your makeup, your character, soul, spiritual makeup. And some people experience this when they go back to their ancestral roots, their original country, their country of origin. They really have a sense of a deep belonging that may, yes, Hungary. Georgina. Where are you from, Georgina? Tell me if you can hear me. Where are you from, Georgina? You don't want to tell me. You know, I've run into some Hungarians, so like I can tell by their accent that they're Hungarian. I can even tell because I can hear them. Also, you're Hungarian? Is that what you're saying, Georgina? Also, does that mean you're Hungarian? In any event, yes. What town were you born in? Georgina. Georgina. Is that a Hungarian name? Georgina. When I was born in 1952 in Miskolc, Hungary, and I left as a child at 5 years old because we were invaded. The Russian invasion in 1956 over 1 million Hungarians left within a year after the invasion. I and my family were one of those families. All right. You have no accent. I was a child. I was 5 years old when I moved to Canada. So no, I was far too young to retain an accent. But sometimes when there were some Hungarians or some other people, when you ask them where they're from, they so want to be identified as an American or a Canadian that they're very defiant about even admitting that they may have been born somewhere else. They're very funny that way. But I don't necessarily believe in these border things, where borders are pretty artificial. And Hungary, for instance, had Miskolc. Yeah, you know Miskolc. Hungary, for instance, through this last century, has its borders changed many times, as many other countries in Europe have had their borders changed. So it's not about the identity of a nationality as much as that the soil itself, the earth itself, has certain qualities or properties, psychological properties, that infuses into the people that live upon her there. And this creates then the culture, the tendencies, the nuances of differences between people living in one place as opposed to another. And this is very, very real. It has nothing to do with national spirit or things like that. But the identity with Mother Earth in all her magnificent varieties, you see. You were in Budapest yesterday. My goodness. Yes, you can. Yes, if you're interested in connecting with your ancient ancestors, just to have a feeling of family, then yes, you can do it meditatively. You see, the mind, your imagination, the inner vision can take you anywhere. It's all about where you intend it to go. You can explore the future. You can explore the past. You can explore other worlds, other dimensions of reality. It's literally an infinite multi-layered multi-layeredness of consciousness. That's what I'm getting at. You're not one thing. We identify ourselves as ego, this one I, we even name it Ava. I'm this Ava. And so you lock yourself into this idea that you're this one identity. But your identity is multifaceted, multi-layered, and is ever changing. It can't be bordered. It can't be contained. And these are the kinds of ideas that we need to help us to break away from the restrictions, the limitations of what we think we are. This is the power of the tarot, the power of meditation, the power of understanding oneself as pure spirit, and the dimensionality of who we are, you see. So yes, you can reach your ancestors through meditation. Absolutely, I believe it. So if you would like to share with me anything else you have to say about the nature of time, because that's what we've just been talking about. Time is a circle as opposed to the linear model of time being past, present, and future. Time is a circle. This is how the ancients thought of time, and is far more accurate than our very handicapped concept of time, I think. So I'll give you a moment. We've been going for, I've always as I said, I wanted these hangouts, these times together, to not go on too long, but for you to come in and like a temple, to really think about these ideas, to let them penetrate into you. So to give you a feeling of genuine joy at who you are and what you are and the potential that lays within you there for you to explore. So if you would like to speak to me some more. Do I want to visit? Yes, I do want to visit Mishkots. I was thinking about it this summer. I'm not sure if I can or not, but I would love to visit where I was born. I was born apparently next to a aroma I had as a child was the scent of chocolate. So yes, it's has multiple effects upon me. You're welcome, darling Tina. You're welcome. I love you too. I love you. Thank you for loving the temple. Hi, Mind of Manny. I see you everywhere. You're all over the place. You get out and about, that's for sure. And everyone, thank you for coming. I so appreciate it. And you know what? I don't know if anybody is an Aries out there, Aries, but I still have Aries, Sagittarius, and Leo to do this month. So when I have it done, and well, after I read, usually takes me a little while to edit. So maybe in an hour or so it'll be up. If there's any Arians out there, because we're all angry at me that I've taken so long. You're a Sag, yes. I know. So I'm doing Aries today. I'll do Sag tomorrow. And then Leo will have to then be the last. And they'll hate me the worst. So thank you everyone for coming. I appreciate it. And I've got to go and work on Aries before they all come for me. So thank you. Aloha. Namaste. I love you all. Thank you very much for coming.